probably the best stand-up in the racket.
He's funny. Did I say that twice? Oh, good. Well, he is.
Here he is. Personal favorite among this guy, among the new comedians, is young and gifted.
Very much. You look great. That's all we need, another bright new young comedian.
Good friend of mine, a wonderful comedian.
Please welcome my old buddy,
Tom Dreesen.
Tom Dreesen.
Tom Dreesen.
Tom Dreesen.
Here he is, Mr. Tom Dreesen.
Tom Dreesen.
And to this day, people say, "Who's Tom Dreesen?" It was a great start. Well, I know who Tom Dreesen is.
Tom Dreesen, and I know who Tom Dreesen is, and I am Joe Goal, and we're back with Who's Tom Dreesen. How are you doing, Tom? Good?
I'm doing great, and for those who didn't watch the first episode, I am Tom Dreesen, and my co-host is my good friend and my nephew, Joe Goal. And we explained in the first episode how he became my nephew, even though he's not blood relative.
Right.
He calls me Uncle Tom.
It's also an Italian thing that I've learned, because I got a lot of uncles. And I'm Italian, obviously, and I got a lot of Did you have a lot?
I'm Italian, obviously.
And you're an Italian, obviously. How was your week? Pretty good?
Yeah, really good. I mean, I had my ups and downs. I had something to eat at my favorite restaurant, and I won't mention the name.
Okay.
And I ordered shrimp with some pasta, and I got food poisoning. I mean, I had the worst. That was on Saturday night. I had to do a show at the Comedy Chateau. I ate. I went over, did the show. Great audience, great crowd. I came home, felt great. I got up the next day, and I thought, well, if you've ever had food poisoning, you know what that's about.
Oh, yeah.
Anyhow, so I had a rough day. But then the next day, got better next day. And now it was 6 days ago.
Right. 2 times I got food poisoning, starting off the show with bowel movements, obviously. I was in Las Vegas, and late night, I got a burger at a place I will not name as well. The next day, couldn't stop throwing up.
Oh, I know.
Couldn't stop throwing up. And I had to bartend the next day. So I had to drive back from Vegas to L.A., had to throw up. I called out of work. The second time, and I think you have a similar experience, was on a plane. On a plane.
Yeah.
Have you had an experience like that?
I was performing in Puerto Rico. And I got up in the morning. I finished the show. It was a corporate date, and I finished the show. And I was jogging along the ocean and all that stuff. And I felt real good. Went back, had a little bit to eat. I got on the plane, and it hit me. And it hit me, and I had to get up out of my seat 10 times. But everybody in the plane now knew, and I kept saying, because everybody knows Montezuma's revenge thing.
Right.
It was the most embarrassing thing to keep going in and out of that bathroom.
Did you have the outside seat at least, or did you have the middle or inside?
No, that was the other thing. I had to crawl over some guy who weighed a little bit more than Governor Pritzker, and the poor guy,
I know, food poisoning's the worst. This is funny. I was talking about this with an actor that came into the self-tape studio. As an actor, obviously like myself, and an entertainer like you, what were some of the things, because obviously we're not always on set, and we're not always, on stage and whatnot. What are some of the things that filled your day, throughout your span as an entertainer that kind of you did not to go crazy within your day?
You left out the fact that I'm also an actor.
An actor, I'm sorry. If we went on the shows you've been on, I mean, it's a very long list of shows and movies that you've done, and yeah.
And I'll answer your first question. But one of my reasons why I've always liked stand-up comedy more than acting is that stand-up comedy, if I'm in Las Vegas and it's 7:30, I say, gee, the show's at 8, I better start getting ready.
Right.
And I would, in 15 minutes, I'd be walking down to the dressing room, putting on, and depending on who I was appearing with.
Right.
Because when I appeared with Frank Sinatra, you always had to wear a tuxedo.
Right.
But the other acts I worked with in my life, Smokey Robinson, Sammy Davis, Mac Davis, Frankie Avalon, I can go on and on. But I always dress according to the way they dress,
Sure.
And Sammy Davis told me one time, you should try to dress as good as the people that come to see you. I said, what do you think I should wear for your show? Because when you're opening for a star, it's their audience. So it's a good question to ask him. How would you like me to dress? He said, I think we should dress at least as good as those who came to see us. So so I would go down and like I say, opening for Frank, I'd get my tuxedo. I'd go do my show. You walk off stage and you're done.
Right.
It's over. Or you do a corporate date.
Right.
You go there and you do the corporate date. You walk off, they hand you a check and you're done. But when I did Murder, She Wrote or Columbos, when I did Facts of Life, when I did sitcoms and even in film, movies that I did, Trouble with the Curve and stuff, you got there sometimes at 4 o'clock in the morning and shot your scene at 8 o'clock that night.
Right.
With the delays and stuff. And then you go over your lines and you go over your lines until you're ad nauseum.
Right.
So I've always liked stand-up comedy more just because of that reason.
Sure.
Now, to fill up your day, when you're an actor, you fill up your day, you're in your trailer,
right?
Reading your lines.
100%.
But the comedian, in the daytime, I play golf.
Right.
If it was a real big show that meant a whole lot to me, I would be going over my material a lot during the day.
Sure.
Because opening night in Vegas or something like that.
Right.
But for the most part, then after that, I relax. I'd get up in the morning, and those days I was a runner. I would get up, I'd jog, I'd run, I'd go to the gym, I'd work out, I'd come back, I'd have something to eat.
Yeah.
Go play golf if I
Sure.
bring my clubs with me and stuff,
Yeah.
or hang out with my buddies and stuff like that. So you stay loose all during the day. Stay loose for the show.
Yeah, I think working out. I mean, I love working out. That's kind of I think I work out just for a lot of the mental aspects of it. And you've talked about this obviously with me, but working out is not only a physical thing; it's a mental thing as well. And just it makes me feel good about myself. And it takes an hour and a half throughout the day. But if I'm on set and I'm doing nothing, I find that I'll eat. I'll just keep eating. Craft services is my best friend. So I don't know if I might be fat by the end if I have to shoot a whole season of something.
I was just going to say, before your career's over, they'll be calling you Tubby.
Tubby instead of Joey, right?
El Gordo Muchacho. That's interesting thing we talk about mental. When I exercise physically, I exercise mentally. When I was when I came out here to L.A., you and I have discussed this many times. I ended up broke down and out. I was hitchhiking up and down Sunset Boulevard. Living on $1 a day. I was going to a corn and cluck for under $1.
Yeah.
Kentucky Colonel, living on $1 a day. But I would jog every morning to a cadence. Nothing can defeat me. Nothing can defeat me.
Yeah.
When I was in the military, when you march to cadence.
Sure.
Left, right, left, right. There's all kinds of cadence calls. I used to call cadence in boot camp. But you landed on the left foot when you or on the right foot when you you'd say. I don't know, but I've been told Eskimo pussy is mighty cold. Am I right or wrong? And you'd go, you're right. You would land on you're right.
Right.
Am I right or wrong? You're right.
Right.
And the other guys would holler out, you're right. So.
I got to use that one, the Eskimo one.
Yeah. So the same way with working out physically, I'm jogging, but I would jog to a mental exercise. Nothing can defeat me. Nothing can defeat me. Day by day and every way, I'm getting better and better.
Yeah.
Day by day. Success is coming. Success is mine. Success is in the near future. Now I do a thing that an amazing, when you wake up in the morning, something amazing is going to happen to me today.
Huh.
Something amazing is going to happen to me today.
Interesting.
Yeah, because especially when you get older, my age,
Right.
Sometimes you wake up in the morning, you don't feel like getting out of bed. You go,
Right.
oh man, I got to, But now I wake up and say, I got to get out of bed because something amazing is going to happen to me today.
That's a good note. I might have to steal that one from you.
We don't have to steal it. I just gave it to you.
Thank you. I appreciate
and to
that.
everybody out there.
There we go. Now everybody has it. How important do you think is routine in not only an entertainer's career, but just a normal person's career? You think it's important?
Yeah, I think, but you have to find yourself. What
Sure.
works for you? There's a lot of wonderful things, and routine. Staying in a routine is really good for some people, and for other people, it's not.
Yeah.
You have to find yourself. What motivates you? What makes you want to go do it? What is it you want to do?
Right.
We can go on for hours on this because for those who don't know, and Joey knows, I've been a stand-up comedian for 56 years, but I also give motivation talks on 4 subjects: perception, visualization, self-talk, and develop a sense of humor. And I elaborate on those 4 points. But if a lot of you can set aside a part of the day for your exercise, set aside a part of your day for eating, and set a part of your day for mental exercises, physical. And then set aside a part of your day for yourself and your family. A while back, I gave you something, a sports psychologist woman, and I don't know her name. She was Freddie Couples, who's a friend of mine, the golfer. She was his sports psychologist. And I showed you this on a piece of paper. She drew a pie.
Yeah.
And she said, this is how you balance your life.
Yeah, I actually want to draw it right here. So it's like,
she drew.
is it like a pie or is it in five things?
It was a pie and 5 things.
Here, you
You'd
can
cut the
draw it if you
pie.
want.
I don't know if I can remember all this, but you'd cut the pie into 5 slices, and this is and it was 5 things to put balance into your life.
Right.
And it was family, friends, self, career,
Right.
and faith, I think.
Huh.
But, try to develop a day that all of these things are in balance.
Yeah.
And when she did that to me, she asked me to do it. When it came to what my career, I was like 80%.
I feel like that's a lot of people.
I was concentrating so much. So I was.
Sure.
In fact, she was showing me, well, it's okay, but you're neglecting family.
Right.
You're neglecting friends, and you need all these things to bring balance into your life.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would have done without my family, without my children.
Of course,
I mean, you know my children,
Yeah.
and they're so supportive. I don't know what I would have done without them. When I think about it sometimes, and I was on the road a lot when they were little.
Yeah.
I would lay awake at night thinking, Amy's graduating, Jennifer's, it's a school,
Right.
Father Sunday or something like whatever
Right.
it was,
Mm-hmm.
or my son Tommy. It was always something that I was on the road, gone, and I suffer a lot of guilt from that to this day. My children always are complimentary, and I appreciate that. But I know, and I know they know that I was gone a lot.
Yeah.
So there wasn't that balance in my life.
But that's a sacrifice that you got to make, and that every entertainer or whatever has to make, right?
If you want to be real honest, it's a selfish endeavor. If
For
you
sure.
really want to be honest with yourself,
Yeah.
you say, my justification for all that was, I say, I want more for my children. I want them to have more than what I had.
Sure, right.
I want them, if they wanted to go to college, that I would be able to afford that. I wanted, I got 2 daughters, when they got married, I wanted to make sure that I threw the wedding.
Right.
What would I have to not be able to do that? All those things I had fears of.
Right.
But I justified my focusing on this stand-up comedy career so much. But the truth is, it is a real selfish endeavor because part of you is saying fame, fortune, fame and fortune, and what price? Glory, at the end of your life. You've heard me tell this story. When Frank Sinatra was 82 years old, I was at his house, his 82nd birthday.
I love this story,
He passed away 5 months later. And sitting around the house, everybody was going to celebrate his birthday. And he was getting very ill at that time, and he wasn't really always like with us. He was, we didn't know if he was quite with the conversation. And sitting around were all his celebrity friends. And they're all talking about, they're making small talk, waiting for the cake to come out. And somebody said, gee, where's the best place to live? What do you think the best place to live is? And Gregory Peck and his wife Veronique said, we have a villa in Aspen, and we like it there a lot. And I'm sorry, I said it wrong. We have a villa in France, and we like it there. Robert Wagner and Jill St. John said, we have a place in Aspen, and we like it there. And Frank, with his head down over in the corner, said, the best place to live is where your friends are.
Oh.
And the whole room went, like you just did, because that was the right answer.
Wow.
If we were on, what's that show, Family Feud,
Right.
good answer.
Good answer,
yeah.
right.
Because when you think about it, the best place to live is where your family, where your friends are. That's the best place to live,
Oh.
And when you go out after endeavors like we're going out after,
Right.
you leave a lot of that behind sometimes.
Right.
You know.
Right. Do you think, and I know this is not really a big question, do you think Frank regrets anything within that?
Well, regrets, he's had a few,
Right.
but then again, too few to mention.
Right.
He did what he had to do and saw it through without exemption.
There you go.
He planned each charted course, each careful step.
Not only a comedian and an actor, but a singer as well.
Not really. but I once asked him, believe it or not.
Did you really?
I swear to God, I once asked him that question. I said, I know you're saying that song. And he said to me, no, not really.
Wow.
He said there might be some things I might have done a little bit different, but
yeah.
by and large, we end up where we are because I think there's a master plan for everybody. Again, that's my thinking.
All right.
That everything that happens in our life is for a rhyme and for a reason. If you believe that,
100%.
if you really believe in a higher power, and I do, and I know you do too, Joey,
sure.
because we go to church together.
We do.
We go on Saturday, even though Mass is on Sunday, but there's a 4:00 Mass on Saturday at St. Charles Church, not too far from here.
That's right here.
And I put money into collection, and Joey takes money out. That's
Right.
the only difference. No.
I asked for change, right? I mean,
That'd be great if the collectors had like a little change purse.
Little change
on their
bucket.
side. Yeah.
can I get 5 back?
But I really believe even when something bad happens, and I
Mm-hmm.
go, wow, this is delaying this, and that, I think, wait a minute, there must be a reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where if I'm coming out of the house and I'm in a hurry and I'm rushing, and I get down to the garage and I left my car keys upstairs, I start to get mad. What? And I go, wait a minute. Maybe if I would have left if I'd had the car keys with me and I went
Right.
out there, maybe a semi
Would have ran you
cut me
off. Right.
It may be. So I have to believe that there's a master plan for everybody. And whenever that happens, I go, oh, God has a reason for me being late.
Absolutely. I 100% believe in that too. And I have to remind myself every once in a while that, if it's ever slow in the business, you never say it's slow, but if it's ever slow in the business, you have to say, oh, this is just because this is what's going on right now, and it'll pick up when, the time has come. But I asked you about the routine thing because I think it's so important, because sometimes when I get in a routine, I just become comfortable, right? Going to the, whatever self-tape studio and submitting on this, blah, 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 blah. So I always try to think about things that I can get out of my routine and do, I don't know if it's the extra step or kind of do more, if you know what I'm kind of saying.
Give me an example.
Just kind of like I said. So I was such in a routine of, just going to work every day, doing like little commercial auditions, having my agent and, having them submit me for things. But I always think, well, there's more. Maybe I'll write something today. Maybe I'll write a script, and maybe this will lead to that, and this will lead to that. But if I didn't think about writing that script, I would just stay in that lane of doing the norm of what's comfortable for me, I think we talked about this in another episode, but I was never a good writer. So I think me writing my own stuff, it's uncomfortable to me. Even me taking a writing course or taking, even a storytelling course, I think that's uncomfortable for me, because I've taken acting classes for all my life, but those kind of things are new to me, and they would kind of be uncomfortable, if that makes sense.
Well, then you should do them unless it's going to make you a better person or a better actor.
Right.
And you say, well, this is something I don't like to do.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best questions ever asked me one time, I've done thousands of interviews.
Mm-hmm.
A guy once said, are you a comedian who's a writer or a writer who's a comedian? I said, no one's ever asked me that before. That's a good question. And I decided I'm a comedian who's a writer because I love being a comedian.
Sure.
I'm not happy about writing, but I know I have to have it.
Right.
So I would set time aside. That's what I was about to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
That if staying in a routine is fine, but if you know there's something that you should be doing,
Right.
then the night before you go to bed, write down what you want to do the next day.
Right.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to get up. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to have breakfast. And then I'm going to set aside from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock on working on reading this book or reading this script or whatever it is that you need to work on.
Right.
Write a list the night before. Don't wake up in the morning and say it to yourself. Then that's a to-do list. And then as you do it during the day, check it off. Check it off.
Yeah.
And you'll feel much better about even the things that you don't care to do, but you know need to be done.
Right. Yeah. And I think this kind of leads greatly into what I wanted to not talk about, but ask you. So, and I know we talked about this a little earlier in the week, and I want to expand on it, but, routine and doing what I need to do. When you were coming up as a comedian, there was a road to stardom, correct? Now, a lot of things are on social media, and a lot of things are different nowadays. How big do you think, because I have an answer for this too, but how big do you think social media is nowadays in being a comedian or actor?
Huge.
It's huge, right?
Being a comedian, being an actor, being a bread salesman, being an insurance salesman.
Right.
When I started out, everywhere you went in America, in 1975, the comedy team I was with split up, and I went on my own in 1975.
Tim and Tom.
Tim and Tom.
Yeah.
We were America's first black and white comedy team. History shows we were the last. When the team split up, I'm out here. I want to make it as a stand-up comedian. Everywhere you went in America, people say, what do you do for a living? You say, I'm a stand-up comedian. The next question out of their mouth was, oh, yeah? Have you ever been on Johnny Carson? So if you haven't been on Johnny Carson in the eyes of America, you weren't a comedian.
Right.
So there was a stairway to stardom in those days.
Sure.
Freddie Prinze did one appearance on The Tonight Show, got a sitcom the next day.
Just like that.
It took me a year to get on The Tonight Show as a single, but when I got on, the first day I did it, the next day CBS signed me to a development deal.
Wow.
A guy from New York named Lee Curlin was watching the show. He was a vice president of CBS, and he liked me, and he signed me to a development deal. My whole life changed.
Right.
So there was a stairway to stardom. Today, young comedians ask me all the time, can you give me some advice on how I can make it? I mean, obviously, I can give them advice on writing material, stage presence, all these things I can teach them, joke structure and all that. But however, the bottom line of that whole thing is that social media, everybody knows, in TikTok, all that is the way. So for you, for anybody out there today, learn that social media. You realize, you help me with social media. I put a couple of jokes, sometimes 1 or 2 jokes, tacking on Instagram.
Yeah.
Remember one time I did 2 little simple jokes that I had been doing for years, got 2 million views in one night.
Yeah.
That's a TV show.
Right.
2 million views in one night.
2.3 million views, I think.
Yeah. And we didn't know
2 million
about
views, right. Yeah.
But that was 2.3 million views, but how many shares?
Oh, it got probably over 100,000 shares, and
so
that was just on Instagram too.
Just on Instagram.
On TikTok, it got 800,000 views and another 70,000 shares.
I never saw anything. I don't know anything about that. You taught me that.
Right.
That's what you did for me.
Yeah.
And I've done nothing for you. But
Yeah, right.
well, you tell me. You said you had a story.
Yeah, no, I unfortunately, fortunately, when I first came out here, I had a manager that was a good buddy of mine, and he said, don't come out here to be an influencer, right? Don't come out here to be an influencer because you're an actor. You want to create, and you're not an online personality. Unfortunately, fortunately, what I was getting back, I think that's another way of selling yourself. I think it's a chance for people to see you, not your work necessarily, but it's almost like your resume at this point, in my opinion. And I think as soon as, let's say you're a casting director, if you're a producer, right? If this person has 100,000 followers on Instagram and this person has 1 million followers on Instagram, and they both are great actors, they do the same thing, you bet your ass the person with 1 million followers is going to get that role because it's almost free marketing for them, And I think that's outside of actors and entertainment. I think it's business. I think it's huge for small businesses, mom and pop joints and everything. So like I said, unfortunately, fortunately, you kind of have to do it.
That's a very good point, what you said, the promotion part.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we know a guy, your father, who's producing a podcast for my friend Frankie Avalon.
Frankie Avalon, right.
And they had a guest the other day.
Yeah.
Got 20 million followers. Their guest has 20 million followers.
That's almost free marketing for Frankie, right?
When Frankie interviewed him, this guy's 20 million followers.
Right.
I don't know how many are going to watch, but they're going to watch. And guess what's going to happen? Frankie's going to, some of them will come back to Frankie's show.
Right. 100%.
So, again, it's all about that social media. Right. That it's got its ups and downs, and however, it is the way to go.
It is. And I think the statistic, I think of the percentage of followers that you have, 10% will watch your stuff, 3% will engage with your stuff.
Explain that to me. That's interesting. 10% will follow.
Yeah, so there's so much algorithms out there, and there's so much of what you see and how you see it. But so if you have 10,000 followers, right? 10%, so 100 people, right? They'll watch your stuff, and 2%, so 20 people will engage with that stuff.
If you have 10,000 followers,
it'd be 200.
It'd be 1,000.
Or 1,200, sorry. That's why I'm not a mathematician. I'm an actor, right? So at 1,000 would watch your stuff, and 200 would engage with your content. So you have to think, even though you have 20 million followers, there's only a small percentage that are watching it.
You know what you could do right now, because there's a lot of people, and I was one. Explain algorithms. This is really complex, but explain algorithms, because I think it's fascinating.
It is, and I think they're always changing too. So I remember there was a time where hashtags were a big thing, right?
Yeah.
And whatever, let's say you put hashtag Tom Dreesen, hashtag Joe Goal. If you look that up, or if you were in the realm of actors and it would go to Joe Goal and it would go to Tom Dreesen, it would go to your page. But now I truly believe the phone listens to you, because I'll mention, a water heater, and water heaters will pop up on Amazon and Instagram ads. So now algorithms, I think, listen to your what you say through the phone, and I also think they search what you look up too. Because if you search up, podcasts, right? A bunch of podcasts are going to search. And then they also recognize what you watch. So if you watch, cooking shows on on TV or on YouTube, more cooking shows are going to pop up. So I think it just correlates to what you look up and what you do, and it just follows you. And it just it's almost like suggestions, I think.
Any of your interests right now.
Right.
That isn't a person doing that. That's a machine.
I think that's all AI.
All AI.
I think that's all artificial intelligence.
Because my buddy told me he was talking to his son on the phone. His son lives in Aliquippa, Pennsylvania.
Right.
And he was out here, and they were talking about a product, and it wasn't but an hour later he got on his cell phone an ad for that product.
That's unreal.
Yeah. But so I know also, and politically, if you lean to the left or lean to the right or wherever you lean, if you discuss that with anybody or your emails, all of a sudden you'll get that.
Right.
You'll get not only that, when you go on YouTube,
right.
Chances are on YouTube, you'll click on YouTube, and what you're interested in comes on YouTube. So Big Brother is really here, and Big Brother is watching us.
He is, and it can't be illegal. It's got to be legal. They can do that, right? I mean.
One thing I'm not as a lawyer. That's
right,
for
right,
sure,
right. No, the world is changing, and I think AI is going to. It's here, and it's here to stay for sure. And I hate to say it, but I think it's really helpful. Like I write a bunch of emails with it. I have it help me with everyday problems. I mean, I use it every day, and I think everyone's guilty of using it every day. I know you use it, correct?
Yeah, I have. I've used it and effectively too.
Yeah.
And the guy talks to me like I really believe I'm talking to another human being.
Right.
And he thanks me and I thank him. And
right. I'm nice to my guy. Because I don't know maybe it's like iRobot and they're going to take over the world or something. So
I sent you something that fascinated me to know. And again, because we go to church together, I watched the thing the other day. Man, I wish I could describe it. But a guy's talking to a head. There's a woman's head there.
I did watch that.
Yeah. And he's talking about, is there a God? Is there a higher power? Or this all this just happened, a big bang and blah, blah. And when he got through, he kept asking such incredible, intelligent questions.
Right.
And there was 2 episodes to it, part 1 and part 2. By the time he got done, I told you the next day, I said, I learned more than, I've been going to church a lot of years, but I learned more on that why there is a higher power and why and I thought this is just unbelievable.
I thought it was incredible, the statistics. So basically what he said, and I know you watched it for everyone who didn't watch it, he was asking whether humans were here based on evolution or on the basis of like a creator, correct? Yeah. And the statistics for that evolution, it was like 10 to the, what was it? Like 200th power or 200,000th power. But the statistics that someone created a life form, it was less. It was 10 to the 100th power. And I said, can you make an example of that? And I thought this was crazy. And the AI said it would be like picking 1 grain of sand blindfolded, a 1 grain of sand blindfolded correctly. That's the odds of it, which is nearly impossible.
He said 1 grain of sand of the whole earth.
Of the whole earth.
Put all the sand on the earth. Right. It's the deserts.
Nearly impossible.
It's
nearly impossible. I just thought that was crazy.
Yeah.
And to go back to AI is, it's here and it's here to stay. And I know we had the Screen Actors Guild strike on it and whatnot, which I agree with because I'm part of the Screen Actors Guild. But it is here to stay. But to get back to our points, so let's get back to the story of Tom Dreesen. So you got on the Tonight Show. Next day, you got a CBS deal. Then what?
Well, interesting. I did this. I got bumped 3 times.
Yeah.
Every time I went there, they ran out of time. I come a week later. They put me in makeup, take me up to my dressing room, down to the green room. We ran out of time.
Right.
I'm 3 times. So I'm the 4th time I'm in makeup, and Fred DeCorda, the producer, came in and he said, "I got some bad news for you." And I said, "What?" He said, "You're going on tonight." and then you get a lump in your throat because 28 million people watch that show. But it was a big hit for me. I got like 8 applause. Johnny Carson called me back through the curtain for another bow, and my whole life changed. But I had to report to unemployment office the following day. I went on at like around the country around 11 o'clock at night, 11:30, what it was. But I got up one morning to go report to the unemployment office. There weren't cell phones in those days,
right.
and I didn't have an answering machine. I just had one phone. I'm in line at the unemployment office, and it was a funny story. And a guy in front of me, long line, guy in front of me turned around and looked at me, and he looked up ahead, and then he looked up and he said, "Were you on the Tonight Show last night?" I went, I should have said no. I said,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm beaming. I went, yeah. And he goes, hey, this guy. And he's hollering to everybody, this guy was on the Tonight Show last night. This guy was on the And
No.
there's a Mexican guy behind me. He said, he was on the Tonight Show, and today he's in the unemployment line. Yeah. You know, I mean, it was embarrassing.
Yeah.
But when I got home, my wife said, the phone's been ringing off the hook. My whole life changed. I mean, I was starting to do, I did the Tonight Show, but I was doing Dinah Shore, Merv Griffin, Mike Douglas, Johnny Carson, Midnight Special, Rock Concert, Soul Train, American Bandstand. I'm the only white comedian to do Soul Train. Because I have an album out called That White Boy's Crazy that I put out years ago in 1982.
Yeah.
I'm the only white comedian ever do an album in front of an all-black audience.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in Harvey, where, you know, on the south side of Chicago.
Sure, yeah.
And I played basketball on an all-black basketball team. I played football on an all-black football team. So all these were part of my routines. But after Sammy Davis Jr. saw me, he had a show called Sammy and Company. He took me on the road for 3 years. I was working Vegas, Tahoe, Reno, Atlantic City, corporate dates. I had one day, no money in the bank, nothing. The next day, I'm working everywhere. I was telling you a while back, I remember one time, when you've been struggling like I did for years with no money coming in, and all of a sudden you're getting all these offers, you don't turn anything down.
No,
you take
right.
almost everything.
Yeah.
One day I was on an airplane going east, and I looked out the window and I saw myself on a plane going west.
Yeah.
I said, I'm working too much.
Right. That's so funny. I wanted to ask you about that because I have gigs that, you know, I'll do anything, right? I know I had an underwear gig in Denver, Florida, and I don't know if I wanted to go and if it was worth it, the money-wise, but you just do it because you're young and you're, you know, not starving, but you're a working actor, right? Do you have any funny stories about never turning down a gig?
Well, I don't have any that I can recall any funnies about never turning down a gig. But I remember there were some gigs I wish I would have turned down.
Sure, right.
You know,
yeah.
when you got there. I remember one time, it's not a funny story, but they had a charity and they begged me. It was flying down to Texas and they begged me, would please, Mr. Dreesen, we're big fans of yours and blah, blah, and it's for a worthy cause. And I had to change planes and do something else. And I went out of my way. And when I finally got down there, in the meantime, they had a bigger name. I get to the airport, no one there to greet me at the airport. But on the phone, we're going to send the limo for you. We're going to. I ended up taking a cab to the gig.
No limo.
Come to find out, there was a bigger name comedian on the bill.
Wow.
And it was, what do? You suck it up, and I gave him my word,
right?
And so I did it. So that's the business we're in. By the way, something that I've told my children their whole lives: you're judged by two things your whole life: your work and your word.
Yeah.
If you say you make spoons, or you use cell phone, or you make this paper, whatever it is, this microphone, if that's your work, you got to do the absolute best you can because that's your work. That's what you're about.
Right.
And your word.
Right.
If you tell somebody I'll be there, then you got to be there.
Yeah.
If you're telling your buddies, hey, I'll help you move next Saturday, and you're out drunk all night long till 5 o'clock in the morning, and you promise to be there at 9 o'clock, you got to be there because you gave your word.
Right.
And so you're working your word. My first manager, Dan Waddy, we were together for 38 years on a handshake. I never signed a contract, and I told him what I wanted of him. He told me what he wanted of me. We shook hands, and I kept my word, and he kept his word.
And that was it, huh?
That's it.
Huh.
Yeah. My manager now, Brandon Goal.
Yeah.
Brandon Goal. We don't have a contract.
Right. You guys got a handshake, right?
We have a handshake. I know that I really believe, because I knew him a long time, he was my road manager before he was my manager.
Sure.
And I saw what he did when we went on the gigs. He was a great road manager. He not only got everything prepared for me, the audio, the visual, and for my one-man show and everything, but guests coming backstage and watching out for me in case there's some wacko in the crowd or something like that. Helping my luggage. I mean, sometimes he'd be carrying everything through the airport and I'd be walking along whistling.
Right.
But he was a great road manager, and I know that he'll be a great manager.
Yeah.
So you're working your word.
Yeah. That's something I want to expand on too. Your word, your work. Managers, I want to talk about. I want to also talk about stories that you have with Sammy. You got to have tons of stories working with Sammy, right?
With Sammy Davis?
Sammy Davis,
yeah.
yeah.
The 3 years I toured with him. But not only Sammy, but I was fortunate. And I know it sounds like name dropping, and I hate myself. And I'm sorry to people who think it's that way.
But you worked with all of them. I mean, you know.
But it's true. And also, you got to think about where I came from. I'm a kid, 8 kids lived in a shack. raggedy clothes. We had no bathtub, no shower, no hot water. I grew up poor, really poor. Shining shoes in taverns, setting pins in bowling alleys, caddying. Admiring all these people on TV, especially athletes. I always loved sports like you. I played a lot of sports. And admiring these people that I'm watching on TV and stuff. And one day, I used to shine shoes hearing Frank Sinatra singing, "Come fly with me, let's fly away." Now I'm flying with Frank. I played on a golf tour called a Celebrity Players Tour.
Yeah.
It was basketball, baseball, football, hockey, tennis, and show business people that were 10 handicap or below.
Right.
So it was Johnny Bench, Mike Schmidt, Mario Lemieux, John Elway, Dan Marino, Michael Jordan. All these are people I admired, sports athletes I just admired. Now I'm in an arena competing with them. I was the only comedian on the tour, so I used to tell everybody I'm the leading money winner among stand-up comedians because I was the only one.
Right.
Because every one of us got paid. Like the Live Tour, we all got paid.
Sure, yeah.
So, but I mean, for me, I sit back sometimes, and I know it sounds like name dropping, but I have funny stories about them.
Yeah.
And things they taught me.
Right.
These people that I admired so much through the years that became my friend. I mean, that's. If I die tomorrow, the world doesn't owe me a thing. It really doesn't owe me a thing. You can close the lid on me.
I mean, did you have to like pinch yourself sometimes?
100 times.
100 times.
Even now, I lay in bed at night sometimes thinking about, oh yeah, and I can't believe that happened.
Wow.
One time, again, I'm doing a show at Riverfront in Cincinnati, Ohio, with Frank.
Yeah.
I'd been with him like 2.5 years, and we're going to fly into Chicago and go to the Chicago Theater. And open the Chicago Theater. They had closed it down for years, and the city spent $8 million renovating it to its original look, and it was a beautiful theater. It is still today.
Sure.
Yet Frank was opening it, and I was his opening act. And we killed at Riverfront Theater. The show was over, and Frank got standing ovations. We jump in the limo, squad cars and limousines rush us to the airport. We get in a private jet, and they're flying us into Chicago. We're flying over the venue. People aren't even in their cars yet. And Frank says to me, got to lean in a little bit. He says to me, "Hey, Tommy, we're going to Chicago tomorrow, to Chicago Theater, my hometown." He said, "This is what we did." He said, "We're going to knock them dead, Tommy." And he shocked me. He said, "We're going to knock them dead." And all of a sudden, I couldn't talk. I got so choked up, Joey. I could not talk. I'm thinking, I had been traveling for like 2 years.
Right.
I'm thinking, oh my God. I'm in Frank Sinatra's private jet, and he's saying to me, we're going to knock them dead. I'm going to my hometown. I mean, these are these moments that I know, like I say, it sounds like name dropping to people, but you know what? I don't give a damn.
No.
I don't care what you think it is. It moved me. I'm so glad he kept talking because I was so choked up I would have got tears in my eyes. Because after being with him 2 years, it hit me. I'm on my way to my hometown.
Yeah.
They're going to put my name on the marquee with Frank Sinatra. I used to shine shoes next to the Chicago Theater. I mean, so those are all those moments.
Yeah, we're going to hear all about those stories. Do you want to leave us with anything before we wrap it up here?
Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day. I like to close each show with, either something motivational or some story that touched me along the way in my life. Many years ago, I used to run 26 miles every year for multiple sclerosis. My sister Darlene had MS. So I'd run, we called it 26 miles for Darlene. And people would pledge money for every mile I run. And a lot of celebrities would come in and run part of the way with me. American Airlines was my sponsor at that time. And I'd run part of the way with me. And a block or 2 blocks or a mile. Smokey Robinson's the only one who ran all 26 miles with me. But one of the guys who ran with me was a basketball player playing for the Chicago Bulls named Reggie Theus. And Reggie helped me with the multiple sclerosis thing. He would run jogging with a basketball, bouncing a basketball. Years go by, he's now out of basketball, and he's coaching in Sacramento. And he's coaching or playing? I think anyhow, but he was going to do a charity for multiple sclerosis because he came through that charity through me and what it does. And so he said, "Tommy, would you come and perform?" I said, "Oh, of course." I performed with the Commodores. You remember Lionel Richie and the Commodores?
Sure, yeah.
But on the plane coming back, there was one of the guys sitting next to me was one of the Commodores, and I don't recall his name, but a black guy. He and I were talking, blah, blah, blah. He said, Hey, Tommy, I've seen you on TV talking about you went to Catholic school and all that stuff. Are you religious? Are you religious? I said, well, I go to church all the time. I'm spiritual, and I believe in a higher power. And I said, why do you ask? He said, because I don't believe in any of that. He said, I really don't. I think it's all BS. He said, but I was at Heathrow Airport in London. He said, and it was, all the planes were delayed, bad weather. The place was mobbed, just mobbed with thousands upon thousands of people standing in long lines trying to change their flights and everything. He said, I'm standing in line, and all of a sudden, I felt the hair on the back of my neck rise, the hair on the back of my neck. And he said, I felt this whole thing in my body. He said, I turned around, and people in the airport were dropping to their knees. Now, this was in 1982 or 83. He said, people were dropping to their knees. And there was this old bedraggled woman walking through the airport, and people were just falling to their knees. They called her Mama something. I said, Mother Teresa? He said, yeah. Now, this is before she was real famous.
Sure.
He said, yeah. He said, what you know about her? I said, well, only what I read about her.
Yeah.
But she's done some miraculous things. She bathed the wounds of lepers.
Mm-hmm.
She does these incredible things. I said, and she's got this order that she started in Calcutta and all that. But a lot of people think that she's a living saint.
Mm-hmm.
He said, well, I don't know about that. He said, but I'll tell you, I don't know what she is, but she's somebody. Because I felt her before I saw her.
Huh.
Which to me describes the Holy Spirit.
Wow.
That's the end of my story.
Wow, that's incredible.
Because you and I have
Wow.
talked about the Holy Spirit sometimes. And sometimes I don't quite get it either. But
Yeah,
but,
it's
But that to me was the greatest description of her spirit.
yeah.
An atheist. If that would have been a devout Catholic, I'd have said,
Yeah,
of course,
whatever.
like us.
Here we go,
There we
right.
go. But he's an atheist.
Wow.
He said, I felt her before I saw her.
Wow. Huh, that's an interesting story. Yeah. Well, make sure to follow us, like, subscribe on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We're on Spotify Podcasts. We're on Apple Podcasts. And we will catch you next time.
Who's Tom Dreesen?